It was one of those late summer nights where the heat lingers long after sunset, like it doesn't know it's supposed to go. My cousin Josh and I had driven out to this old campsite in central Kentucky, nothing fancy, just a patch of dirt near Lake Cumberland with a busted fire ring and a view of the water. It wasn't even a real campground, just a spot Josh found on some backwoods forum where people posted hidden gems and off-grid sites. We were both 22, broke, and bored. Josh had just gotten dumped. I was in between jobs. So we packed up too. Sleeping bags, some hot dogs, a Bluetooth speaker, and a cooler full of cheap beer, and decided to spend the weekend disconnecting from the world. It felt good at first. We parked the truck down the slope and hiked about 20 minutes to this clearing near the tree line where we set up our tent. You could still see the lake through the trees, and the only sounds were the occasional cricket, a few frogs down by the water, and the occasional crack of a branch under a wandering deer's hooves. By 9 p.m., we had a decent fire going, and the night had settled into that peaceful, buzzing kind of quiet. Josh was stretched out in his camp chair, flicking bottle caps into the woods, and I was halfway through some dumb ghost story when we both heard it, the sound of footsteps. Not animal scurrying, human steps, slow, deliberate. We froze. Josh turned off the speaker. For a moment it was just silence again. Then, crack. Another branch. It was coming from somewhere deeper in the woods, maybe 40, 50 feet away. Number. Flashlight, no voice. Just someone walking, slow and steady. Josh whispered, "Probably another camper." I said, "Out here?" "There's no one for miles." We waited, holding our breath. No movement, nothing. After a minute, Josh shrugged and muttered, "Whatever, man," and turned the speaker back on. I couldn't let it go, though. I kept glancing into the dark gaps between the trees, wondering if someone or something was watching us. Around midnight, we turned in. The fire had died down, and the woods felt a lot less charming when we zipped up the tent. The night air was thick and still. Bugs tapped against the mesh. Somewhere, an owl hooted. I laid there for a while, sweating, listening to Josh snore softly next to me. Then came the whisper. It was faint. Almost too faint, but I swear I heard someone say, "Hey." I sat up, heart thudding. Josh kept snoring. I leaned toward the tent's mesh door and listened. "Hey." This time it was clearer, a man's voice. Not angry, not loud. Just wrong, too casual, too close. Josh, wake up." I shook him. He groaned and rolled over. "What? Shut up." "Someone's outside." We both sat in the dark for a moment. I held my breath. Nothing. Then came the sound of slow footsteps. This time it was unmistakable. They circled the tent, one soft step at a time. Dirt crunching under boots. I could feel the vibrations through the ground. Then a pause. A shuffle. Another step. Josh whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. He unzipped the tent door just an inch and shone his phone flashlight outside. No one. He flicked the light around. In quick jerks, nothing but trees and grass, no figure. No movement. But we both knew what we heard. Josh zipped it back up and locked the zipper. "We stay in here. If it's some weirdo, let them freeze their ass off." We both laid down again, facing opposite directions, not sleeping. I stared at the tent ceiling. It felt like hours passed, and then the zipper started to move. That faint, unmistakable sound, like someone trying to be quiet but failing. The slow ZZZRRP of a zipper sliding down fabric. Except our tent was zipped from the inside. Josh sat up and whispered, "What the hell, ZZRRP?" The zipper stopped. Halfway open, just enough to peek through. I didn't move. Neither did Josh. A shadow fell across the mesh, tall, thin, unmoving. "Just standing there," he whispered again. "Hey." We didn't answer. Couldn't move. Couldn't breathe then. The figure ducked lower, crouching toward the opening. That's when Josh grabbed the flashlight and turned it on. Gone. Nothing. No shadow. No figure. The zipper was still half open, but there was no one there. Josh scrambled and yanked it closed, then locked it again. We stayed awake until dawn, when the sun finally rose. We stumbled out of the tent, legs shaky, eyes burning. There were no footprints, no signs of anything. The fire pit was still cold. Everything looked normal, except for one thing. About 10 feet away, carved into the bark of a tree facing our tent, was a single word: "Hey." By morning, everything looked too normal. Birds chirped. Sunlight flickered through the trees. The lake was still, almost pretty, but neither of us could stop staring at that tree. The word "hey" wasn't scratched lightly, it was gouged deep, the kind of carving you'd need a knife or blade for. The bark was fresh, still damp around the edges. Josh kept pacing. Someone was here last night watching us. No, I said, though I didn't believe it either. We'd have heard them leave, or they're still out there. That chilled me more than anything. We had no service, no weapons beyond a camp hatchet, and we were a 20-minute hike from the truck. I wanted to leave right then, but Josh said we needed to at least pack up first, if this was a prank. We shouldn't give them the satisfaction of freaking out. We started breaking down the tent. Josh was folding the tarp when he suddenly stopped, holding something in his hand. It was a cigarette, but still warm. Neither of us smoked. We didn't say a word after that. We just shoved everything into our packs, grabbed the cooler, and booked it down the trail to the truck. Every few steps I looked behind us, convinced I'd catch a glimpse of someone, a figure stepping out from behind a tree or walking parallel through the woods, but no one was there. We got to the truck, hearts pounding, sweat pouring, and tossed our gear in the bed. Josh turned the key. Click. He tried again. Click. Battery. He looked at me, face pale. I checked it yesterday. It was fine. Then we noticed it. The hood. It was unlatched. Josh got out, lifted it. The battery cables were clean cut. Not chewed, not corroded, cut with a blade. On purpose. That's when I lost it. Nope, no way, we're leaving, now. We didn't wait. We left the truck and sprinted up the gravel service road, hoping to get far enough to flag down someone. Anyone? We walked for almost an hour, nerve shot, jumping at every sound. Finally, we saw a rusted mailbox and a small house way off the road. A middle-aged guy in overalls answered the door, looked us over, and let us use his landline to call a tow and a ranger. When we explained what happened, he just nodded slowly and said, "Y'all camp near the lake?" "Yeah," I said, "about 20 minutes up the trail." He sighed. "You ain't the first ones to come down from there spooked. Ain't on any map, but people still go. They shouldn't." "Why?" Josh asked. The man hesitated. "There's someone out there. Has been for years. Lives off-grid, watches the lake. Don't want folks nearby." "You've seen him?" "Once," he said. Didn't say a word. Just stood behind a tree, half hidden, watching me. I ain't gone back since. The ranger showed up 2 hours later. We rode back with him to the truck. He didn't say much, just took some photos, looked at the cables, and wrote up a quick report. When we asked if he'd look into it, he said, "Sure," but didn't seem in any kind of hurry. We never went back. Josh sold the truck not long after. I still camp sometimes, but never off-grid. Not unless there's other people around. Not unless there's cell signal. That night changed something in me. Not just the fear, the knowing, because sometimes when I'm alone in my apartment, when the windows are open and the air feels too still, I still hear it, that voice, close, almost casual. "Hey." It was one of those sticky August nights in northern Georgia where the air feels like it's pressing against your skin. I was 17, staying at my cousin Armand's lake cabin for the weekend. No parents, just me, Armand, and his little Bluetooth speaker, blasting lo-fi beats while the sun dipped behind the trees. It was the perfect summer setup. Cheap snacks, soda, fishing rods leaning on the porch, and a view of Sunset Lake glowing gold under a sky full of dying light. We didn't have cell service out there, but that was kind of the point. Off-grid, no noise. Just water, woods, and the occasional hoot of an owl. The first night, nothing really happened. We grilled hot dogs on the little fire pit by the water and told dumb ghost stories we half remembered from Reddit. Armand's favorite was about some ranger who vanished on the job and still whistles in the woods. We laughed, ate s'mores, fell asleep with the screen door open, letting the breeze in. The second night was different. It started with the knock. 3 taps, deliberate, on the screen door. We were inside by then, lying on the floor, watching something on Armin's laptop. The knock came from behind us, maybe 9:30 p.m., just after it got properly dark. We both froze. Probably a raccoon or something, Armand said. But his voice didn't sound confident. I sat up and looked over my shoulder. The porch light was off, but I could see the faint shape of the screen door still closed. Still locked, nobody there. You sure it wasn't the wind? I asked. Did it sound like wind knocking? He shot back. No, it didn't. We tried to brush it off, but it hung there in the room. This weird silence after the knock. Like the crickets and frogs outside had stopped for a second. It made the inside of the cabin feel too quiet, too still. I got up, clicked on the porch light. Nothing. No person. No animal. Just the screen door, a pair of empty lawn chairs, and the reflection of the lake in the distance. Barely visible through the trees. Then we heard it again, but this time, not at the door. This time it was on the back wall of the cabin. 3 knocks, slower, heavier, like a fist. We both jumped. That's not a raccoon, Armand whispered. He grabbed the flashlight from the counter and clicked it on. The beam jittered from his shaky hand as he moved toward the back window. I followed. He aimed the light out the glass. Nothing but trees. The beam just got swallowed by the woods, but I swear I saw something move, something tall just beyond the tree line. Just 1 second of motion and then gone. We didn't say anything after that. We just backed away from the window like kids who think monsters can't see. If you don't move, we checked the doors, locked, windows, also locked, but that didn't stop the knocks. They started moving, first the front door again, then the sidewall, then dead. Serious, the roof, like something walked on it. Slow, dragging steps, creak, creak, creak. It wasn't animals. Animals don't knock like they're trying to get your attention. And they sure as hell don't walk on roofs in a full circle, like. They're pacing. I wanted to call someone, but the phones were dead. Not just no service dead, powered off dead. Mine, Armand's. Even the old one we used for music, like the batteries had all drained at once. I don't like this, bro, Armand muttered, his face pale under the flashlight. Something's wrong. I nodded. We were debating whether to just make a run for the car, but the driveway was about 40 yards through the woods. No lights, no neighbors. If something or someone was messing with us, that was a long, dark run. Armand wanted to wait it out. I wanted to leave. Then the power went out. Total black. The overhead lights. The fridge hummed. Even the little blinking red light on the microwave, everything died in an instant. We were left standing in pitch darkness with only the beam of a dying flashlight between us and whatever was outside. That's when we heard it. Not knocks. This time, breathing, right outside the window, heavy, slow breathing. Close enough you could hear the nose whistle. I was too scared to move. But Armand, God bless him, slowly turned the flashlight toward the window, and there it was. Face, right up against the glass. Pale, human, not masked. Just wrong. The eyes were open way too wide. The mouth was half smiling, but not in a friendly way. The skin looked damp, like the person had just climbed out of the lake. And the worst part? The face wasn't looking in. It was turned toward us, but the eyes weren't focusing. Like it was listening more than seeing. The flashlight flickered, then died completely. We screamed. I think Armand even dropped the light. I grabbed his arm and we sprinted toward the bathroom. It was the only room in the cabin with no windows. We slammed the door, locked it, and huddled in the tub like little kids hiding from a nightmare outside. The knocking started again, slower now, and closer, and then we heard the front door creak open. We didn't move, didn't breathe. We just sat in that cold porcelain tub, our backs pressed flat against the tile, listening as the cabin door, our locked front door, slowly creaked open. No wind. No storm, no footsteps. Just the long wooden groan of the door hinges as it swung wider and wider. And then silence. Armand was holding my wrist, so tight it was going numb. I could feel his heartbeat in it, thudding like a drum. I whispered, "Do you still have your phone?" He shook his head. "Dead," he mouthed. Something stepped inside. We didn't hear it walk in, but we heard the shift. The air changed. That same thick, humid night air outside, we could feel it creeping down. The hallway from the living room, cooler, damper, heavier, and then the floor creaked, not randomly, once, then again, steady, getting closer. Armin leaned forward, real slow, and quietly locked the bathroom door if it wasn't already. The tiny metal click of the lock felt louder than a scream. I don't know how long we sat there. Time does weird things when you're afraid. Could have been 10 minutes. Could have been 1. Then the doorknob moved, not jiggled, turned, slowly, firmly, like whoever or whatever was out there knew we were inside. The lock held, God. The lock held, but then it knocked just once. A slow, deliberate knock on the bathroom door, like it was letting us know, I'm here, Armin whimpered. I think I did too, and then it stopped, no footsteps, no more knocking, just nothing. I don't remember falling asleep. I think the fear just wore us down until we passed out. When I woke up, the sunlight was peeking in under the door. My neck hurt from sleeping half upright in the tub. Armand was already awake, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. Do you think it's gone? I asked. He didn't answer. Just slowly stood up and pressed his ear to the door. Nothing. So we opened it. The cabin looked the same, mostly, but the front door was wide open. Muddy footprints came in from the porch and stopped halfway through the living room. They didn't lead to the bathroom, didn't lead back outside either. Just stopped. We packed our stuff and left in 10 minutes flat. Didn't speak until we were halfway back to town, phones still dead. Sun burning off the last of the morning mist. When we finally got signal, our phones buzzed to life. Texts, missed calls, battery levels back to normal. Like nothing had ever been wrong. Later, we asked the cabin owner, Armin's dad, if anyone else had access to the place. He said no. Said there hadn't been any break-ins in that area for years. He even asked if we were trying to scare each other for fun. But here's the part that still gets me. A week later, Armin sent me a picture. No message, just the image. It was from one of those trail cams mounted out back, the kind that only takes a photo when it detects movement. The timestamp? 2:42 a.m., the same night. The photo? It was from behind the cabin, facing the trees. You can see the deck, the woods, the edge of the lake dock, and one more thing, a person, standing in the shadows, facing the cabin, completely still, not walking, not running, just watching. And the worst part, they weren't alone if you brighten the photo. 2 more figures are standing farther back. I haven't been to that cabin since. Armand doesn't talk about it anymore, but sometimes on summer nights, when I'm lying awake, I swear I can still hear that slow, heavy knock right outside my window. It was one of those sticky, still summer nights that made the lake behind our rented cabin look like a sheet of black glass. I remember the air smelled like firewood and wet leaves, and the only sounds were the crickets and the occasional splash of a fish breaking the surface. There were 4 of us. Me, my girlfriend Sarah, my cousin Jake, and his friend Lila. We'd driven out for a weekend away from the city, just to relax, drink, maybe swim, and pretend we didn't have real lives. Waiting back home. The cabin was old, slightly crooked on its foundation, but charming in that way places feel when they haven't been updated since the 70s. Wood paneling, shag carpet, and a porch that creaked if you so much as breathed on it. That first night was perfect. We grilled burgers, played cards on the porch, and cracked jokes until the bugs got too aggressive and we had to move inside. Around midnight, Jake and I went out back to grab more beer from the cooler. That's when I saw it for the first time, across the lake. Maybe 50 yards. I thought I saw someone standing in the trees, not moving, just watching. I stared for a long time, trying to figure out if it was just a tree trunk shaped weird, or maybe a trick of the light. But even in the darkness, there was a clear human outline, no flashlight, no fire, just standing there. Jake didn't see it. When I pointed, he squinted, shrugged, and said, "Dude, it's probably a tree." You're buzzed. Maybe I was. But that shape didn't move once, and I swear it was facing us. I didn't sleep great that night. The bedroom window didn't have curtains, and every time the wind shifted and the branches rustled, I kept imagining someone standing just beyond. The trees just far enough I couldn't make out a face. The next day was normal, hot, quiet, uneventful. We swam in the lake, played music, and sunbathed on the dock. But even then, I caught myself checking the tree line. That shape was gone. Nothing out of place. Still, I couldn't shake that feeling like we weren't really alone out here that evening. Things started getting ... We were all inside watching a movie. One of those dumb horror films where nobody turns on a light switch. When Sarah froze mid-laugh and whispered, "Did you guys hear that?" We went quiet. A soft, almost polite tap ... tap. Tap came from the front porch. Lila paused the movie. "You expecting anyone?" she asked. I shook my head. We're in the middle of nowhere. Closest neighbor is a quarter mile that way? We all stood in. The dark, listening. Another tap, clearer this time. Like someone knocking gently, but not wanting to be let in. More like testing. Seeing if we'd react, I peeked out through the little window in the door. Nothing. I turned on the porch. Light. Still nothing. We laughed it off eventually. Jake said it was probably a raccoon. I tried to believe that. Around 2 a.m., everyone went to bed. I couldn't sleep again. The air was too still, like the woods were holding their breath. I sat up. For a while in the living room, scrolling through my phone, trying to distract myself. That's when I heard footsteps on the porch. Not animal footsteps. Slow, deliberate, human. I froze. The front door creaked slightly, like weight shifting on the floorboards just outside. I tiptoed to the window beside the door and peeked out, staying low, and I swear to God, someone was standing just outside the light. I couldn't make out their face. They were standing where the porch light ended, like they knew exactly where the shadows began. But I could see the shape of them. Tall, lean, head tilted slightly, like they were listening to something inside. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. They stood there for maybe 30 seconds, then turned, not fast, just slow, and walked off the porch, down the steps, and back toward the woods behind the cabin. I didn't sleep after that. In the morning, I told the others. Jake laughed again. Sarah didn't. She believed me. I could tell, but she didn't want to. She tried to brush it off, but I saw how she avoided the windows after that. That evening, the air felt different. No crickets. No frogs, just silence. Sarah. And I stayed inside. Layla had a headache and went to lie down early. Jake decided to take a walk down the little trail by the lake, earbuds in, beer in hand. He said he'd be back in 20 minutes. It had been over an hour when we started getting worried. I walked down the trail calling his name. Nothing. Then I saw his beer can crushed, sitting in the middle of the path like it had been dropped. I kept walking, calling louder. The trail split near a small clearing, and that's when I saw something that made my skin crawl on the tree directly ahead. Someone had carved something deep, long gouges that weren't there before. It wasn't words, but shapes, triangles, circles, something that looked like an eye, and underneath it, Jake's baseball cap, hanging on a broken branch. I turned around to run back to the cabin. That's when I saw it. Far down the trail. Something stepped out from the trees, slowly, silently. It wasn't Jake, and it was holding something in its hand. I didn't wait to see what it was holding. I turned and ran, full sprint, heart punching against my ribs so hard it hurt. Branches slapped my face and thorns scraped my legs, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. That thing had stepped out of the woods like it had been waiting, watching, and the way it moved, slow, like it wanted me to see it. Like it wasn't in a hurry because it knew it would catch me eventually. By the time I stumbled back into the cabin, I was soaked in sweat and gasping for air. Sarah shot up from the couch. "Where's Jake?" I couldn't speak. I just shook my head and slammed the door shut, locking both bolts and pushing a chair under the handle like that would do anything. Layla came out of her room, pale and dazed. "What's going on?" she asked. "Why are you—" "Call the cops," I said. "Now, Jake's gone." Sarah stared at me. "What do you mean gone?" "I mean something took him." Silence again, heavier this time, no bugs, no wind. Just dread. Lila grabbed her phone, but there was no signal, nothing, not even a single bar. Sarah tried hers. Same result. Of course. We debated getting in the car and driving to town, but none of us wanted to step foot back outside. Not with whatever that thing was out there. And part of me was terrified we'd get in the car and it would be inside somehow. Just sitting in the back seat, waiting. We ended up barricading ourselves in the living room, all the lights on, every curtain closed. I held a fireplace poker in one hand and a kitchen knife in the other. It felt stupid, but it was all we had. Hours passed. Layla kept dozing off and jerking awake. Sarah sat on the floor with her back against the wall, eyes wide, listening for every sound. Around 4:30 a.m., just before sunrise, I heard footsteps again on the porch. They were slow, heavy. Then came the knock. Tap, tap, tap. But this time, it wasn't at the front door. The window. Sarah screamed. Layla dropped her phone. I raised the poker and crept toward the curtain, heart screaming in my chest. I pulled it back just a crack. There was a face pressed to the glass, but it wasn't Jake, and it wasn't human. The skin was too pale. The eyes were too dark. The mouth stretched too wide. Like it was smiling, but not because it was happy, because it was hungry. And in its hand, smeared with something dark. Was Jake's hoodie. It tilted its head when it saw me, like a dog hearing a sound it didn't understand. Then it raised one hand and slowly scratched something into the glass with a dirty fingernail, a circle. An eye, the same symbol from the tree. And then it walked away. Just disappeared into the woods like it had all the time in the world. We left that morning at first light, didn't pack, didn't speak. Just got in the car and drove. We told the police everything. They searched the area, dragged the lake, even brought in dogs. They never found Jake, not a trace. Not a footprint, nothing. They said he must have wandered off and drowned. That we were tired and scared and imagined the rest. But they didn't see the face in the window. They didn't hear the knock. They didn't feel the silence like we did, like the woods themselves were holding their breath, waiting for us to come back. We never did, but sometimes in the middle of the night I hear a soft tap. Tap outside my apartment window. And every time I wonder. Did it follow me? Or was it never about Jake at all?